You're taking 9 seats away. Now, okay, this is more than game on. So when this conflict comes to a close and gas prices start coming down, by the time the Republicans have their convention in August, this could be a totally different story.
But you know what it is going to encourage both sides to do? To market to the independent voters that are out there. Just because it is a Republican +2 or +4 or a Democrat +4 or 5 doesn't mean that it's a solid seat for them. So you got to market to the people in the center as well. Make your case to them.
Look at this map. In California, you've got 3 to 5 Democrats, probably extra Democrats than Republicans. In Utah, 1. Texas, 3 to 5 Republicans. North Carolina looks like it's set for the Republicans with 1. Ohio. You can look at the list, and then the pink is in progress, and that's probably going to be GOP.
But the thing is, this is the other theory, that so now if you don't let independents into your primary, now it's going to be the extreme right and left.
So I want to talk about something because, you know, of course, the black pillars and the Democrats will have you thinking that literally MAGA's dead, but I think we proved that MAGA is most certainly not dead. We aren't going anywhere. We proved that with the Thomas Massie ousting, and we're going to do it once again this upcoming week with the John Cornyn ousting as well. I mean, he has absolutely tanked in the polls. He was already behind, and now he's absolutely tanking since the Trump endorsement to Ken Paxton. We also proved that up in Indiana, right? So, yeah, not dead. We aren't going anywhere. But, of course, they always, you know, doom and gloom. MAGA's dead. Republicans are going down. Republicans are about to lose. Well, as you saw in that first clip there, which that map wasn't even super updated. I want to throw that back on the screen because some of these states are already done. Texas, that's done. Florida is done. I believe North Carolina is done. I believe Ohio is done. South Carolina, they attempted it, and then some rhinos blocked it, but now they're trying to force it back through. So we shall see about that situation. Tennessee is done. You know, so Georgia isn't going to. They say they're going to redo it come 2028 or something, which, you know, those Republicans in Georgia, man, they are something different, I tell you. You know, they are something different. But hey, 2028, I guess. It is what it is. I'll take it. But so yeah, South Carolina, they're trying to ram it through and surpass these rhinos that blocked it the first time that they tried to pass it. But we'll see how that goes. Like I said, Tennessee is done. I believe Alabama is pretty much finished up. So yeah, that map isn't even completely updated, right? And we have, I don't know, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 different states where it's basically done, and others where it's in progress. So that is some great, absolutely great news, obviously, leading up to these midterms. And I want to show you guys this because it is a very slim margin right now. We are narrowing that gap. When I told you guys that this may be the 4th time in a century where the party in power stays in power, I'm not just talking out of the side of my neck. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Republican and I, want to, give you some good Republican news, because let me tell you something. I don't believe in covering up the bad, right? Just because you don't acknowledge a problem or you don't look at a problem or face the problem, it doesn't mean that it disappears, right? So I'm not that kind of person. If I saw some major issue within the Republican Party, I would address it. I would address it because it doesn't do us any good to try to ignore it. Ignoring it doesn't make it go away. You know what I mean? So I think we are most certainly on the right track. But I want to play this video clip from CBS. Check it out.
You see this narrow band in here? How many toss-ups, how many House seats we rate as toss-ups, and just a few more on either side that we even rate as leaning to the Dems and the Reps. Historically, this is really narrow. There are not many toss-ups in the House contest.
So do I hear you saying, Anthony, that this is a wave-free environment politically, that there cannot possibly be a wave of any kind?
I am not saying that.
Okay, good.
I am saying that entering into this one thing you have to remember is that while people say they don't like redistricting, and they don't, right? I always put this number on the board, which is 96%. That's the percentage of partisans who vote for their party all the time. And what that means is you start gerrymandering districts, and all of these on the R side and all of these on the D side, they're probably not going to move because those voters will so reliably stick with their parties. That's how the sort of the ground up version of all of this. But at the same time, would a big wave start to push a little further out into the margins of this? Yes, that is still a possibility.
And Anthony, I always try to think about things that might be on the
Here's the issue with that theory, though. The wave pushing out into the outward portions of this red here that you just saw him do, point to. The Democrats have a money issue, right? Which is kind of interesting considering they literally just spent the most amount of money in U.S. history to try to get Kamala Harris elected. I mean, record-breaking, $2.5 billion. I mean, think about that. They did that in 3 months. 3 months, which is absolutely insane. That doesn't even account for any money that was spent for Joe Biden, right, early on, which probably not much because he kind of dropped out or got pushed out, really, rather, fairly early. So, but there was still probably some money spent, right, getting ready, gearing up. But $2.5 billion in 3 months. One, think about how crazy that is to burn through $2.5 billion in 3 months. But then also think about how insane it is to garner up, to gather up $2.5 billion in only 3 months. In 90 days, they managed to scrape together $2.5 billion. That is a massive amount of money. Well, now since U.S. aid has basically been shut down and Act Blue, Democrats' major donation platform, since they have been under investigation, now Democrats are all of a sudden struggling for funds. Kind of interesting how that works, isn't it? Kind of interesting. As a matter of fact, I want to show you guys this. Where is it? I had it. Oh, here we go. I want to show you guys this. Take a look at that on your screen. So it says RNC versus DNC cash on hand update. That is as of today, May 21st. RNC, $124 million. DNC, $14 million, but there's $17 million in debt. Now, of course, this isn't all the money because there's super PACs and whatever else. Like Trump has his, I believe it's the America Pact. I could be wrong, but Elon Musk has a pact as well. So that's not the final tally, but this is just the RNC versus the DNC. The DNC is literally in debt $17.5 million. $17.5 million. Meanwhile, the RNC has $124 million, zero debt. Yeah. That should say a lot. And I'm going to get into some of these numbers here in just a second, but I'm going to let this video finish, all right? Check it out.
Audience. Some of our viewers might be saying, wait a minute, I hear stuff all the time anecdotally about people opting out of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party and thinking of themselves and acting behaviorally as independents. Where do they factor, if at all, in any of this?
Well, they don't always vote for different parties. They think of themselves as independents, but more often than not, and they'll tell you this, they fall back to one party or the other.
And more importantly, the parties know that.
And the parties know that, and that's why you see a lot of the debate going on here, and the consultants were just talking about this, where it's about motivation more so than persuasion. It can be that the parties are trying to get people to come out and turn out, which we'll watch closely this year, but it's very expensive and very hard to get people to change their minds. And if I could move very quickly from the House and show you the Senate battlegrounds as well, this is also not a large list, but this is where the Senate control is going to fall in terms of the battlefield here. We talked about Georgia, few that are Democratic held they would have to hold, and then a few that the Republicans hold that they would have to hang on to as well.
And the one thing about North Carolina is we're currently thinking of that as potentially a Democratic pickup.
Yeah, it's a potential pickup. I've got it.
Tom Tillis not seeking re-election.
Exactly.
Michael Whatley, the former Republican National Party chairman, against Roy Cooper, Democratic governor, no longer governor, but run and ran
statewide office.
Yeah, former RNC chair Michael Whatley. From the polls that I've seen, He's not looking great in North Carolina. Still a lot of time. Still a lot of time. We've got a lot of money that we could still, put forth to try to bump him up in the polls. But polls not looking great thus far. That's just being honest. And that is why you see that they have North Carolina being blue, because it looks like Roy Cooper, as of today, would win. But like I said, still a lot of time. So, and then here in Maine, which is something I actually posted about this. Maine is where Susan Collins is, and I know, y'all gonna huff and puff, and trust me, I've had my words about Susan Collins as well. And as a matter of fact, one of you actually commented about this the other day, yesterday, 2 days ago, and I replied to it, which y'all, for some reason, y'all be thinking I don't read the comments. I read the comments every single day, FYI. But here's the thing about Susan Collins. Yes, is she a rhino? Absolutely. Okay. Is she perfect? No, far from it. But out of the state of Maine, she's as good as we're going to get. She's as good as we are going to get. Okay. We're not going to be able to get a traditional America First Republican elected in the state of Maine. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Because I know what somebody's going to say, well, why don't we get a different Republican in? They wouldn't win. The objective is to win. Okay. That is the objective. I would rather have Susan Collins than Graham Plattner, I believe his name is. That is the candidate for the Democrats. Much rather have Susan Collins over him. If you think Susan Collins is bad, Graham Plattner is about 1,000 times worse. He is like, I would compare Graham Plattner to, he's almost in like a league of his own, to be completely honest. I wouldn't even know, like he had the Nazi tattoo and everything. He's in a league of his own. Like I was gonna say he was like a combination between like AOC, Ilhan Omar, you know what I mean? But like he's in a league of his own. So let's get Susan Collins reelected in Maine. As much as we don't like her, she's better than the alternative. We can try to figure something out in the meantime, in between time, or we can try to figure something out after we get Susan Collins elected. But in the meantime, in between time, we got to get Susan Collins back to the Senate, okay? We got to get her back to the Senate. Now, she's the only person that we have to bring back to the Senate that's a rhino, okay? John Cornyn can go in 2028. John Thune can go out of the state of South Dakota. In 2028, Lisa Murkowski can go, right? We've already ousted a lot of rhinos. Tom Tillis, Mitch McConnell is gone. Dan Crenshaw, right, amongst others. Bill Cassidy is gone. I was like, I'm forgetting some folks. So we've already gotten rid of a lot of rhinos. So we are well on our way. But let's jump back into this clip.
Twice,
right?
yes.
One statewide
and
office.
as Attorney General.
It's very hard for the Democrats to flip North Carolina, but the thinking is, the polling suggests, frankly, that he would be the one who could do it. The harder stuff for them is Ohio and Iowa. The reason I say it's harder is these states have a lot of the kinds of voters who have moved toward the Republicans in recent years.
Yes.
Right? White, working class voters, all of
Iowa especially.
Iowa especially, right? It wasn't that long ago the Democrats had Iowa in play. You can remember back to Barack Obama. But nope, Iowa has moved. So the Democrats would like to think they can put that in play. And Alaska, this is kind of a fun one. This one, you could see maybe they use a ranked choice voting system. It could be a little close. They've elected Democrats before. Okay, that's another one we'll keep an eye on.
Anthony Salvanto, great stuff as always.
So yeah, and to top this all off, where did I put that? So the final tally on the money from the last thing that I saw, I'm trying to find it. I thought I saved it. Maybe I didn't. Republicans in total, right? Not just the RNC, but all of the PACs, all of the Republican aligned PACs and everything included, have about $900-ish million. Meanwhile, Democrats have about $250 million. Yeah, absolutely getting clobbered. 900 million to 250 million. And here's the kicker. They couldn't win outspending Trump in this past election. I forgot what was it, 3-1, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. In this past election where they spent $2.5 billion, a record amount of money. I believe they outspent Trump like 3-1, right? They couldn't win in that type of environment. So what makes you think that they're going to have a blue wave when they're getting beat on the money side? You know, could it happen? Sure, it's possible, right? That's the way it's supposed to go. Typically, that's the way it's almost always gone, except for 3 different times. But I think this year we're gonna make history. I think we're gonna make history. The only thing that stands in the way, and I'm gonna say this, is the gas prices. If gas prices come down drastically before this election, we'll win. If they don't, it's gonna be a 50-50 toss-up. We could wake up the next day and like, ooh, Democrats took the House. Ooh, we barely kept the Senate, you know? Or, ooh, we lost the Senate by 1 or something. But if gas prices come down, Democrats are in a world of hurt. They are in a world of hurt. And it's going to be interesting to watch what they do following that defeat, their excuse for it, you know, what they come out and say. It's going to be interesting. But anyway, y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Thank you for tuning in as always. I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.